The snowstorm that wasn't there. Dr. Louis Ulrich and his wife Maud were on their way to Chicago, where he was to attend a medical seminar. Despite the fact that it was early in December, the physician suggested that they drive up the long way torn through a part of the country they had never before visited. A marvelous idea, Maud exclaimed as they left their home. And look, we won't have to go too far out of the way to drop in at Barbara and Al's in Allentown. 2 days later, they found themselves driving along a picturesque road in Pennsylvania. It was 1 o'clock, and the day was bright and sunny with hardly a cloud in the sky when Maud suggested that they have a bite to eat. We can still be in Allentown by 8 tonight, even if we stop for an hour. Is that all right with you, Louis? The physician nodded and proceeded to keep his eye open for a restaurant. After a few minutes, he saw a diner, a small motel on the highway, and he just retorted, "Want to try this place? Why not?" Maud replied. "It's sort of quaint, don't you think?" He laughed and parked between the diner and the entrance to the motel. Then they went inside, made themselves comfortable at a booth in the back, and had a leisurely meal. At 2 o'clock, they arose and went to pay the check. At the door, Maud turned and gestured to her husband, a look of dismay on her face. "Isn't that awful? It's snowing." The doctor stepped outside and shrugged in defeat. "Now doesn't that take the cake? Who'd have believed that we'd run into a snowstorm on a beautiful day like today?" Maud shivered and clung to his arm. "Darling," she said, "I don't think we ought to drive any more if the weather is going to be like this." "What do you think?" After several moments, he said, "We have two choices. One, to try to make it to Allentown. Two, to stay here. If we try to drive through, we may wind up God knows where, in a snowdrift or worse. If we stay here, we may be snowbound also, which means," interrupting him with a laugh, she said it for him, "we may as well stay here and be comfortable." Dr. Ulrich smiled at his wife. "I'm tempted. Besides, I could do with a good long sleep where nobody can find me. Anyway, I'm bushed. That mattress we slept on last night felt like a rock pile." They checked into the motel, where the doctor promptly decided to take a nap. It was past 7 when the physician woke up that evening. Maud, who had been propped up on the pillows watching television, kissed him and said, "Have a good sleep?" He yawned and nodded. "It's still snowing?" "Yes. Everything's covered, and it's still coming down. I haven't seen a car on the road for the longest while." "Feel like something to eat?" Maud shrugged. "The thought of getting dressed to go out, even those few steps to the diner, chills me to my toes. But we don't have to go out. There are some sandwiches left over from yesterday in the travel case with the thermos." After they had eaten and finished the leftover coffee, they settled back to spend a relaxing night watching television and just taking it easy. But Dr. Ulrich and his wife were not to relax on that particular night in December. They found out at 11 p.m. when somebody began a frantic hammering on their door. The physician hurriedly arose, put on his robe, and opened the door. A woman stood there, her face ashen, her hands and fingers opening and closing nervously. She was the wife of the motel owner and had shown them to their room while her husband carried in their bags. "Forgive me for disturbing you like this," she cried, "but I noticed on the register that you are a doctor. I hope to God you're a medical doctor." "I am. What's the matter?" "Come with me, doctor, quickly. It's my husband. I don't know what's on with him," she explained as she ran before him down the long corridor. He went to move the desk chair, and suddenly he fell, holding his chest and gasping for air. He said it felt like he was being squeezed in a vise. "Did he ever have a heart attack before?" Her face, already ashen, paled even more. "Is that what you think he's having?" "No, he never had one before," she cried, opening the door and leading him inside. Dr. Ulrich hastily examined the man who lay on the floor of the room. He turned to the woman and said, "My emergency bag. Hurry." Less than a minute later, he had prepared and administered an injection of adrenaline. An hour later, the man was resting comfortably, and his pulse and respiration were normal. "It's a lucky thing my husband and I were here tonight," Maud said a short while later as the three of them sat in the room drinking coffee. "Louis said your husband couldn't have lasted 5 minutes longer with the seizure he had." "Thank God for that," the owner's wife sighed. "No," Maud said, winking at her husband. "You can thank that snowstorm for us being here tonight. If it wasn't for that, we'd be spending the night with friends in Allentown. The woman looked at her, a puzzled look on her face. What snowstorm? Maud and her husband exchanged glances. Then Maud replied, the snowstorm that started around 2 o'clock. You can't be serious, can you? The motel owner's wife stared at them for a moment, her mouth agape. She stood up abruptly, went to the window, and opened the blinds. She looked outside and then pointed. It isn't snowing. And so far this winter we haven't had even a flurry of snow. Come, see for yourself. Dr. Ulrich and his wife stood up. They looked at each other apprehensively, and then they stared outside. There was no snow on the ground. As Maud tried to explain, the doctor nudged her. She took the hint and said, instead, we've had a trying day. Call us if you need anything. And I'll look in on your husband every hour or so, the physician said. Try to get some rest, too. If we're able to move him in the morning, he had better be hospitalized for a while. Tests, cardiograms, and so forth are necessary. After they were alone in their room again, Maud looked at her husband inquiringly. Why did you nudge me? Dr. Louis Ulrich stretched out on the bed in his clothes. He took a deep breath and smiled faintly. Darling, what good would it have done to have told her? Then he laughed and closed his eyes. Besides, who'd ever believe a wild story like this about a snowstorm that wasn't there? But, shh, and come to bed. There's a lot of odd things we see but cannot explain in this life. We saw a snowstorm that wasn't there, and as a result, we saved a man's life. What else is there to know? Mission accomplished, like they say in the movies.